Hey everyone, welcome back to Google Workspace Recap, your number one source for everything workspace by the tabGeeks Network. My name is Jesse Nolan, my co-host is Steve Larson, and we're here to help you keep up. I have to apologize to everyone. Over the last 45 episodes, our sound has been much quieter than it should have been. I did a lot of digging and getting into super nerdy sound stuff, and I learned that I was actually exporting with the wrong set of parameters in Final Cut Pro as I had originally learned how to do it. It turns out that was not, in fact, optimized for output to YouTube, and so the audio was much quieter. So you can stop cranking the volume all the way up to 11 to be able to hear us whenever you put us on every single week. From this point forward, they should all be the same volume as your other favorite YouTubers and podcasters. Yep. So, Steve, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, I was really surprised to see the drastic difference in, what that was between the two, episodes, for example, that you sent me.
Yep.
It's like night and day. The new revised version with the different levels sounds exactly like the first episode, let's say, that I was listening to on the podcast where it wasn't the video included. So
yeah,
it's great.
Well, when we switched to video, I switched programs. I was using Audition from Adobe for just the audio, and then I switched to Final Cut Pro for the video. And so in that translation there, that, I thought it was just because I wasn't using a dedicated audio editor anymore. And it still sounded okay on YouTube, but you still had to turn the volume up. And it sounded fine on Spotify. But I guess there have been a bunch of people actually that have also told us that on Google Podcasts it seems much, much quieter. So I'm hoping that this will solve that issue as well as we effectively turn up not the gain, but the overall sound of the show entirely. So those of you who are listening on podcasts and have written into us in the past, letting us know that it is much quieter on Google Podcasts, please let us know if this solves the problem. Hopefully it does.
Perfect.
All right. Handful of updates again.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So I guess we're talking about the updates, right?
Unless you got something else to add.
No. Sorry, I was just distracted here. Just reading some other stuff. Anyways, just a couple updates. Two, I think, looks like two of which are final releases to things that we've talked about before, and one minor new one here, silent release in the end of week recap post. So starting with that one, we have the silent release here being you're now able to easily assign tasks from Google Docs on mobile. Published releases here, we have the first one being the new Gmail user interface is becoming the standard experience. So we've talked about this one before. It's now being coming out as the default and being forced essentially upon everyone. You can't toggle back and forth between the two. Next one is the trust rules are now going to be generally available for Google Drive. That's something that was out in the beta before, but now generally available to everyone. And then finally, we have one related to client-side encryption here, which is that you can now use the key migration to change or add key services for client-side encryption. A lot of updates on that over the last couple of months. Something that's just taken a long time to come out, but ever since it's been released, there's been some consistent improvements on it, which it's nice to see.
Wonder if it has to do with that 100,000 U.S. Army deployment.
Right. Yes, correct. Very possibly. And then a few things in the news. So we've got a few things that have been happening around Google that we've seen. Zoom is coming for Microsoft territory with email and calendar services. Interesting one. I feel like that's just going to be like Amazon trying to get into email and calendar. It just died a silent death there, really.
I don't think Amazon really tried. I think Zoom is going to bring the heat.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll be successful. I don't know that the product is going to be any good, but we'll get into it.
Let's see. Yeah. Google's going to be ramping up Chrome OS testing with Beta Tester Hub. Sounds pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then two more here. We have MediaTek's new Chromebook chips bring better display support to entry-level Chromebooks. Nice to see that. And then finally, we have award-winning video editing app Luma Fusion comes to Android and Chrome OS.
Woo.
Yeah. So let's see here. So first one, let's talk about, I feel like I've skipped one of my tabs here.
Tasks.
Where is it? I know.
Docs.
No, I know. I just, I had that tab at the end. So that's why I was like figuring out where in my, repertoire here was that. Usually it's the beginning. Easily assign tasks from Google Docs on mobile. Yes, that's the one. So this new update will enable you to assign a checklist item to yourself or a colleague that will show up in the assignee's task list. So when edits are made, an assigned item and tasks, such as like a change in title or due date or things like that, it will update there. And this is now available on Docs, Android, and iOS apps. There's a couple links that we will include in the update to learn more about that. But that is, you know what I've noticed though. Speaking of tasks and Keep, for example, I have noticed that my shopping list no longer auto completes my items in terms of the names of what they are. Have you noticed that? Do you use that feature at all? No, but I don't use
the feature all that much.
I use it a lot for shopping lists, and
I usually end up putting my shopping list.
It's not auto-completing anymore.
That's annoying. I usually end up putting my shopping list in whatever task manager I'm using at the time. So it happens to be, it was Asana, and now I've been using ClickUp. I used to use Keep, and I know the feature that you're talking about where it automatically fills that in.
Yeah.
But I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Not too sure. But yeah. Hey. All right. Next update here. We have that the new Gmail interface is becoming the standard experience. So this dates back to an early 2022 release where the new user interface was announced. And I thought this was kind of, wasn't this announced at Next last year at one point? Something like this?
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like it's been out for ages. It was January 2022. So not too long after Next. I think that's probably what happened. They probably talked about it at Next.
Yeah.
Took about 6 months to then.
Didn't actually get it for a long time. Right. Those of us in the alpha did.
That's what
but then it didn't actually show up to anyone else for a really long time.
I think that's what it was.
But I'll be honest, I don't even really remember what the old one looked like. Been using this one for so long, blockier, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a few more curved edges here. That's about it. So starting this month, the new user interface will become the standard experience for Gmail. There will no longer be the option to revert back to the original view. So with the new UI, users are still able to change Gmail theme, inbox type, and more through the quick settings. This will just kind of start to integrate all of the inbox, chat, spaces experience all into kind of one concise space there, and Meet and everything as well. If you're using Meet, it'll all show up there. So rollout for this one is going to be coming to rapid release domains on a gradual rollout starting the 8th of November. Going to take about 15 days for feature visibility there. For scheduled release domains, it will start on the 29th of November, also on a gradual rollout up to 15 days for visibility. And this is going to be available to pretty much everyone other than those on Workspace Essentials. And I'd probably imagine that Workspace Essentials doesn't have Gmail, so that would make sense as to why they don't get it.
This was announced and rapid rollout immediately. It was announced on the 8th, and rapid rollout began on the 8th rapid release domains.
Rapid release domains on the
15 days, but it started on the day they announced it.
Right.
So if anybody has that has their domains on rapid release, it's already begun.
It has. Yep.
Although anybody who's listening to the show should have already been using this interface
for a while. Right. Yeah. Exactly. We're the ones that test it out and use it.
Any of your stickier users or executives that are still holding out hope that the old one's not going away, you might want to drop them a line. Sorry.
Yeah. So next on the updates, we have another one here that was announced a while back. This is going to be the trust rules are coming out to Google Drive, and this is now generally available. So this is where you can start to control a little bit more granularly how users are going to be sharing files across the organization. So it's no longer just anyone in the domain can access the file, or adding these individual users and emails and these groups, for example. You're going to be able to define custom kind of lists of users. Essentially, it's essentially what it is. It's like just a drop down list. There's a list of different types of subsets of users that you have. You've defined them as an admin. They're selectable as a user. And this just gives admins more control over how those files can be shared, and both within and outside the organization. So there's some things that you can do in terms of creating departments versus other parts of the organization, rather than just everyone, as I said. And overall easier to know, I guess, which subset of users that you're going to be sharing it to, and they're defined by the admin. So it's not necessarily like groups, because groups can sometimes have different group members that have manager permissions that can add and remove people. These ones are a little bit more, I guess you could say, like controlled, maintained, secured by your admins, for example, rather than just being groups that maybe non-Google Workspace admins can manage and update. Rollout for this one is going to be coming to rapid release and scheduled release domains starting the 8th of November. And the full rollout actually says it's going to complete on the 8th of November. So the day in which it was announced, it was complete. This is the fastest rollout I've ever seen. Whether or not it actually happened that quickly, I don't know. But apparently it should have happened that quickly. This is only going to be going to Enterprise Plus, Enterprise Standard, Education Plus, and Education Standard customers. So a select subset of organizations will have that. If you want to know more about the trust rules and how that worked, check out the article that is linked in this week's update dating back to July 14th. So you'll be able to read more about how that all works in the earlier post. And then finally, as I minimize my window, I don't want to do that. Last one for the week is the ability to use key migration to change or add key services for client-side encryption. So as I was saying, CSE is continually being expanded and improved. So this new service here is going to allow admins to enable additional key services or change their existing key service for this feature here. In both cases, these built-in controls ensure that key migrations are performed safely with support for backup key services and potential rollbacks, and it's going to ensure that encrypted data remains inaccessible to Google and fidelity is maintained through the migration process. So essentially it is a fancy term for a key migration or a key rotation service, essentially. That's what it is. A little bit of detail in terms of why this is important. I think if you are an organization that is using this, have a read in the few paragraphs that talks about this additional flexibility that it gives admins to perform these key rotations here. And essentially it's just making sure that if anyone somehow got a hold of the encryption key from a while ago, it's no longer going to be valid and useful anymore. Rollout for this one is going to be coming to both rapid release and scheduled release domains on a full rollout with 1 to 3 days for feature visibility starting on the 10th of November. So that should be complete by now as you hear this episode. And customers that will get access to this feature are going to be Enterprise Plus, Education Standard, and Education Plus customers. And that wraps up the updates for this week. Jesse,
short and sweet.
Over to you for the other news for this week.
All right, so Zoom is coming for the big boys over here. Big people, I suppose. Microsoft and Google. I don't know that they feel so threatened at the onset here, but Google certainly got caught a little bit with their pants down in the middle of the pandemic with the massive lead in terms of becoming a household name that Zoom jumped forward with. And Zoom has been trying to take that and just run like a bat out of hell with it, and obviously kept releasing features. Google's been releasing a ton of features, as you obviously all know. Zoom is going and swinging for the fences now in launching in beta a calendar, and email application. And this is something that was kind of the writing on the wall for a long time as Zoom continued to invest in their infrastructure. And I believe we announced on this show a while ago that the rumor mill, or even there was, I think, may have been an announcement around this, that they were working on it. Now you can actually go in and test it out. They have a whole bunch of features here that sort of round out their Zoom One interface. They have the other tools such as Team Chat, Whiteboard, Phone, and Meetings. About, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, or a year ago, I did get contacted by some people from Zoom specifically trying to get us to switch off of our existing UCaaS provider, not Google Voice, somebody else, over to Zoom Phone, and they were extremely aggressive in terms of willing to buy out the contract and so on. So they are really putting in the work. They're investing very heavily in this, even back then, and this is only going to be the next step in the ladder as they continue working their way up. They are building it out so that you can plug it into Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace, assuming that we're all using Zoom meetings anyway, as the Verge article states. That's not the case in my organization and may not be the case in many of yours, but I'm sure that many of you do fall into that category. Interesting thing that I noticed here as I was reviewing just before the show that I did not see last time when I first read the article is that they are going to have a new @zmail.com domain that customers can use for their accounts, and the Zoom One business plan customers can create their own custom domain. So taking a page, yet another page, I guess, out of Google's book, Gmail, Zmail, how original. They're getting that set up so that you can have your own users if you're not a business account. Alongside of this, they're also launching something that is called Zoom Spots. It's essentially a virtual co-working space where you can basically just hang out there, and if you need somebody, you can pipe up and talk to them or kind of wander over into one of the other rooms. So like I said, a lot of investment here, a lot of experimentation, trying to see what works, and who knows, it's Zoom has been very heavily adopted in the enterprise space, and they are loved by a lot of companies, and they do have a really good product. I definitely am happy to see more competition coming into the unified Office collaborative suite space, because that just means that Google will have to crank it all up and work that much harder and bring us that much more awesome features in order to keep bringing the heat back to Zoom. Any thoughts on this, Steve?
Use Google Meet. And Gmail.
Amen. Amen. I wanted to say amen so bad I was choking on my soda. I agree.
That's what I say.
But we'll see. And, fingers crossed, Salesforce won't launch an email product out of Slack. So hopefully we won't go there. And like you were saying earlier, I don't know what happened with Amazon's product. Amazon had their, what they call it, Workforce One, or they also called it Workspace, I think.
I don't know. What it was called.
It was their Work Docs. They have Chime. Like, they've got phone, they've got docs, they obviously have storage. They've obviously got hosting. Like, they have the makings of a very possible contender here, and it just fizzled. So guess we'll have to find out later. We'll see. Like I said in the past, we'll find out in several years when somebody on that team writes a book about it, so I can read it. All right, onward. Google is ramping up Chrome OS testing with a new beta tester hub. Signups are open for this. Many of you, myself included, and Steve definitely included, have all been involved in testing beta and alpha, aka canary versions of Chrome and Chrome OS. And now there's a hub that gives you a whole bunch of resources to help you in your testing of that. The goal of the platform is, quote, to provide a space where Chrome OS beta features are easily visible and accessible to all Chrome OS users. It's open to the public, and it's aimed at those that want to, quote, join the testing efforts or just get a sneak peek about what you can look forward to in future Chrome OS updates. So they're going to be continuing to update this site for every 4-week intervals alongside any new betas that come out. And they announced a bit of a promotion on here, which, given that it was a couple of days ago, may already have passed, but if not, may as well go and sign up anyway. The first 500 people that download the latest beta version of Chrome OS, and join the Chrome OS beta community by signing up to be a product expert, which will include the link below, will be getting exclusive, unspecified swag. Swag of some sort, don't know what it is. Once you sign up, you'll receive details about how to get swag. For those of you already Chrome OS beta PEs, will be reaching out to you with swag details. They said, I don't think I was already a PE, and as soon as I saw this drop, I immediately went and signed up, and I haven't seen anything yet, as far as I know. I'll check my email. That talks about any unspecified swag, but I will definitely keep you all tuned, keep you all updated as to what may or may not come from that. Hopefully I get something. I love Google swag. You hear that, Google? I love Google swag. We all do.
I think
all right,
does,
so
yeah, exactly.
Well, right? Google swag for the win. So we'll include the links to this 9 to 5 Google article that talks about it, as well as the official beta tester hub and the link to sign up to be a product expert in the show notes, either below the video or in the show notes on the podcast, wherever it's located. And you can see it here on the screen as well, if you're watching over on YouTube, just to see what that looks like. All right. Some more. This is all Chrome OS news. After Zoom, it's all Chrome OS news. So if you don't use Chrome OS, you can just turn us off right now. No, I'm kidding. Please don't. That'll screw up our YouTube ratings. MediaTek, the processor company, has some new Chromebook chips that are bringing better display support to entry-level laptops. That's it. That's the tweet. That's basically all there is here. MediaTek is another processor company that is popular in the lower cost or entry-level area Chromebooks. They have some more powerful ones as well, but for the most part tend to be in the more mobile range. And there's some geeky details in here, how many cores and gigahertz and et cetera, et cetera. If you're interested in that, you can go and read through all of these. But one of the biggest improvements here seems to be in DisplayPort. Both the MediaTek, both models, I'll spare you the details there, support Full HD Plus, which is 2520 by 1080. Very nice. And the ability to add a second full HD display, 1920 by 1080. So that's pretty cool, because I have actually played around with some of the lower cost Chromebooks, and they're a pain in the ass to plug anything into. So this will be a welcome addition. Lastly, and this is an update that I know our friends over at Chrome Unboxed are going to be very happy about, because this is generally their metric for success on Chrome OS as an operating system. The award-winning video editing app LumaFusion comes to Android and Chrome OS. They always say in their videos, whenever they're talking about, how much of a fully fledged operating system Chrome OS is, one of their metrics is, okay, but how well does it edit video? Well, it seems that today is the day that this editing platform from iPhones, iPads, Macs is finally making its way to Android and Chrome OS devices. It previously won Best iPad App of the Year in 2021. And, honestly, it's about damn time. They're right. We've needed a very good video editor, or even a basic video editor, for crying out loud, on Chrome OS for a long time. Google Photos is working on rolling one out, a very basic one, but LumaFusion will definitely be a welcome addition to the Chromebooks, and I will have to give it a try. I don't know that I could edit this whole episode on it, but I will definitely play around with it and give it a shot, and maybe do some of the shorts on there just to see how well the interface works and how easy it is to navigate. So stay tuned there if you're interested in video editing on Chrome OS. Anything else cover for the week?
For me? Not for me?
Yeah, not for me. All right, that's all for this week. Short and sweet. Send us your questions and comments on Twitter at Workspace Recap, and on our website, workspacerecap.com. Hit the subscribe button. Leave us a review on your favorite platform, be it YouTube, podcasts, wherever. And give us a thumbs up if you can. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell so you always hear when we are... or you always get notified when we are publishing new content, be it Workspace Recap or any of our wonderful shows. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Workspace Recap.